Last year's event seemed to go pretty well for everyone this side and in the audience as well, so we're going to follow a similar theme. You'll know that we've asked for questions submitted beforehand. That's not to filter out any difficult topics or anything. There will be many opportunities for on the sort of spur of the moment questions as well. It's just to help us sort of structure the evening, and we're going to divide it into 4 main categories. There's football matters, ownership and vision, off the pitch performance, and any other business. So I'll ask you, a few of you, to take the microphone, to ask the questions you've submitted. Then I'll throw it open to the floor, and again, we've got someone with a microphone who'll come around and find you. And we just wanted to make sure as well that we've got the very best people up here to answer the questions that you really want asked. So if you do have a particular question right now, or it occurs to you during the evening, please just wait until the relevant section. So if it's tickets or hot dogs or something, wait until perhaps off the field performance section 3. If you really want to know what product Cedric uses in his hair, that's probably any other business right at the end. But that's enough for me. Let's just talk to these guys first of all. Mr. Hasenhüttl, well played on the recent run. What's the transformation been down to?
Yeah. At first, good evening from my side. It's the 4th time I think I'm sitting here, and it was always exciting for me to answer all the questions. Yeah, that is definitely not easy to answer question. What was the reason why we turned our performance to a really good one? It was a very difficult beginning of the season, I think, with a few bad results, and the worst was sure the game against Leicester at home, where everything came together, the red card and the early goals, and a team that was in that moment also not the most self-confident one, and then we lost in this 9-0. And what then happened, I think, must be something that this experience, if you get the chance to get such experience, and if you stay alive after such experience as a manager and as a team, then you have a big chance to get the biggest strength out of it, I think. And this is what we did in that moment, because we started to look back on our basics and our fundamentals. We started to recognize that without these basics we have no chance at all to win something in this league. And I think the players knew then that it's not about he's wrong or I did it well, he did it wrong. I think we all knew that we only have a success if we are working again together. And from that moment on, I had the feeling that we pushed the right buttons in the sessions, also we tried to turn every stone to look what is wrong, to look what we didn't right. I think in that moment you could feel that everybody wants to follow, and from that moment, with the first result against Arsenal, then the 2 home wins, then we had another 2 defeats where we didn't have to lose against Newcastle. We did a good game, but we lost at home against I think it was West Ham. Yeah, it was also not a bad game. We had a good second half, a little bit unlucky, Ingsy twice on the post. So we could feel that we are more competitive, and it was growing. And stick to the plan, getting better and better. And from that moment on, the performance was better and better every weekend, and that gives us a chance to win against teams like Chelsea or Tottenham. And in the moment, if you watch the sessions, if you watch them training, and also if you watch them playing games, you could feel that there was a completely change in their behavior, in their minds. We stick now again to our philosophy. We have our, I must say, typical way we want to play. We've found it back. We are more brave. We play in a back 4 in a shape that when we want to play in this shape, you must be really brave, and we do it now. And I feel that we find the right players in the right positions, and they feel that we have now a team that this is really competitive and have a chance to win games in the Premier League. And this is the belief we try to build up, and hopefully, my beard starts growing because I don't shave since then.
Oh, that's the key, is it?
That's the key.
Let's try and get you in trouble early on. What's it like working for this man?
Yeah, great. I think as a football club, we've always had that identity of who we are, first and foremost, as a football club. I think the things that we stand for off the field, the togetherness, the family unit that we all are, and the one that I've always grown up to know. But secondly, that identity on the pitch. And as soon as the manager came through the door, you could see the philosophy and the ideas that he had. And everybody adhered to it. Everybody wanted to work hard. And you could see the impact that had on us straight away. And I feel for a period, we lost it a little bit at the start of the season, but we gained it back at a really, really important time. And we started to do things that a typical Southampton team would do, to be brave, to be aggressive, to go and beat big teams, to go to the Emirates and perform the way we did. So, I think we're on a really good track at the minute, and we're heading in the right direction for sure.
There have been some changes behind the scenes. Martin, what about Matt Crocker coming in, starts work soon as Director of Football? Why have you brought him back? What's he going to do?
Sure. Prowse talked about an identity in the Southampton way and everything we're about, and that's really what he's here for. I think I said last time we were on stage that we spent a long time, kind of over 6 months, trying to find the right plan for the future, and we found that plan, and then we had to find the right person to implement it. So the people sitting on the stage here have their roles, and Ralph leads the football side, but Ralph has a similar view, which is you need someone to take care of every detail of football, and that's really what Matt's here to do. So when we went looking, it was actually pretty simple, really, because Matt was here before, that I'm sure everybody knows, led the academy, and I think led the academy when Prowse was there, and Callum, and a few others like Luke Shaw. So he knew the Southampton way. He was a huge architect of it, actually, in reality. And then he left to go to the England setup, which, if I can't be too rude, was not in the greatest state at the time, and put in place kind of the DNA of English football, and they've won a lot of trophies and a lot of tournaments around the world. And I think the third key part was he called me and said, I want to come back, and I'm ready to come back and help you rebuild the Southampton way and put our identity back together. So Matt's here really to make sure that the plan we have in place, every tiny detail is implemented, and Ralph and James can do their jobs every day, but if we don't have the details behind the scenes sorted, then we will not be successful. So he's here to make sure that works, really.
Toby, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to ignore you for now, to go to the floor.
No problem.
Our first question is Ellie Campbell here. Can we get a microphone to Ellie Campbell if she's here? Is she here? Aha.
I'm asking for
Ellie, I think you've got a question about January, is that right?
January. I've forgotten what that one was.
We're going rogue already. Good luck, everybody.
Possibly transfer window, but I'm interested to know what your target was at the beginning of the season, Ralph.
What was your target for the team at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, the target after I think we had finished last season in 16th position. Is it right? Yeah. The target was that we build up on the fundamentals, getting better in possession against the ball. We had a good plan. We were a little bit deeper because the back five automatically lets you sit a little bit deeper. We want to get a better possession, as a play in possession, but I think, and then sure, come high in the table, maybe being in the first half of the table, that would be, in the end, a fantastic result after, I think, now 3 years where we were fighting for the relegation. And when you want to develop your game, then you're always looking on the deficit you have. I think we didn't have so much possession last season, and then we tried to work on our game with the ball a lot, and maybe that was the reason why we lost a little bit our way of what made us strong before, and this is what I said before, we lost this fundament, and if you want to build something and lose the other one and it's going completely down, it doesn't make sense then, and then you have to build this up again before you start thinking about your game with the ball. But I think in the moment we have a good balance also in the sessions, and that gives us the feeling that we can work on all four parts of our game with the ball, against the ball, and then also transition after losing or after winning the ball. And every part of this game is now part of our sessions, and we try to improve everything. And in the end, it still stays the same, being as best as possible in the league. When you asked me 2 months ago, I must tell you, I haven't seen many teams in the league that were worse playing than we did. when you ask me now, I must say there are not that many teams that are playing better than we do in the moment. And so let us get a few more behind us. That's my plan.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Ellie. Is Ben Parkin here? Because I'm assured here he does have a question about January.
Likewise, I can't remember my question. This should be good. I think it was sort of around transfer windows in general, sort of how do the targets get identified? What are the plans for January? What are the sort of thoughts going forward? But especially around like the targets. Obviously, we've had some very good signings. We've had some not so good signings. So how that sort of works behind the scenes as well.
Yeah. Should I? Yeah. Or you? I think after our transfer window in the summer, where we were focused on a different shape because we played a back five in that moment, we could feel after a few moments that we didn't have the right balance in the squad. We have a few positions where we don't have really alternatives. We must say that we sold Matt Target in summer, got a lot of money for him. This was the reason why we could buy Musa, for example. It was our Musa, if you want. But we thought in the end of the transfer window we can get a left back on loan maybe from somewhere because we need a backup for Ryan Bertrand. In the end we didn't get one, and that was really something we must, an issue we must solve now in the winter, because it's not possible to go only with one left back in the season. We have Jake Wokins, he scored on the weekend. I was happy for him, but still Jake has a lot of things to learn, especially against the ball. He's not really strong enough in the moment, I think, but he makes a good development, but it's too early maybe for him to play in the Premier League in the moment. But we know that we need on our fullbacks positions, Jan Beller is out for a long time now, we only have Cedric and Ryan, so on this position we need to do something in the winter. We know this, and I can guarantee you we will do something on these positions.
Anyone got a football question they'd like to chuck up here? In the middle there? What's your name, sir, and what would you like to know?
The name's Jim Hurd. I'd just like to know, with Prowse and with Ralph, what they would do currently with the VAR system, because it's a bit of a mockery, isn't it?
VAR.
I think VAR was quite kind to us early on in the season. I think we had a few good decisions go our way, but obviously the one from the weekend when Longy scored, I immediately thought it was offside and held my celebrations back a little bit, because I didn't want to get too excited. So it does take away that part of the game. But for me, if you go back the last 10 years, for example, there'll be hundreds of goals that will be chalked off for marginal offsides. And I think it is taking away the enjoyment of the game a little bit. People are holding back their celebrations, and then you look silly if you do celebrate and then you don't. So I think it, without being controversial, it probably does need a bit of a review, but equally it has been kind to us. So, obviously we'll see how it goes, but I'm sure people will be reviewing it all the time.
Yeah, I must say that I'm a big fan of the VAR, especially how it is handled in the moment in England, because I remember my first season in Germany. It was 2 years ago when they started with the VAR. We had no lines, no offside lines, it was a disaster. They tried everything. Sometimes they looked, sometimes they didn't. So it was really horrible. And I think the testing period for this VAR in England was a longer one, and it is good because I think the profit you have is a massive one, especially for us. It was the first time we scored and they didn't give the goal. I think we had 7 goals so far conceded, and it was never a goal. So we play with this VAR because we know if we hold the line, then the chance for offside, and even if it's only a tight one, then it's a high run, and it's not a big risk. So for me, it makes the game, maybe not that emotional, but I cannot agree, because sometimes you're celebrating twice, because at first you're scoring, and then you're waiting, and then you celebrate again,
I would like to be able to see in the stadium what the VAR referee is looking
This is something that is a very good argument. I always said it's important that the final decision is done in the stadium and not somewhere in a cellar in Heathrow or somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think that's the reason why you come in the stadium, because you know that there are the decisions made. Yeah? And in Germany we had the situation that the referee finally went to a monitor and he was looking on the screen, and then he made the final decision. I think it's important for the people that they know the referee on the pitch is the referee and not he is the assistant referee. Yeah? This is important, I think.
I think Toby and I sit on a panel with the Premier League where we're going to look at trying to fix it. And I think in February, but my feeling is about communication. So we had one in our stadium the other day, but I didn't know what happened until I watched Match of the Day. You know, and I'm quite a privileged position, right? And I still didn't know. And I think it's the communication. I come from a cricket background. You know, it's part of the fun, is finding out and listening to it. And I think sitting in a stadium and not knowing what's going on is the real problem. And my personal view on the fans is VAR or not VAR, they've got to find someone to hate, referee, VAR. They're going to love it, right? You're going to go home and fight with somebody. It might as well be the VAR, but at least you want to know. And if you don't know what's happened in the stadium, it ruins the experience. So I think that's the route they'll go, with communication rather than changing the technology, I think.
And the good news is the Premier League are open to, they're already putting more information on the screens. They're already sent around a circular to all the clubs saying, okay, there needs to be more information rather than just checking goal. Okay, what are they checking it for? I think, I certainly would like to get to the point where they can actually show what everybody else is seeing on the screen. Yeah. There is, though, within the Premier League, they don't like to show what they call contentious decisions. So there is that's something that needs to be overcome, but they're open to it and they understand it needs improving as well. So we'll keep fighting that cause.
I reckon we lose 6 or 7 minutes of the game with VAR. Never gets that involved. We had a VAR in the first half of one of the games the other day. We got 1 minute.
Yeah. That's normal. That's normal for us.
Yeah.
But if we play against the teams, we have 7 minutes against us.
Mind you, if we're winning 1-0, we could do with So it works both ways. But you're right. It does seem to be inconsistent. There always seems to be more minutes in the second half.
Anyone else got a question on football? Yes. What's your name? What would you like to know?
My name's Sandra. I wondered, Ralph, what your thoughts are about why there's such a difference in performances away from home than at home.
Yes. I can agree with the first 3 months of this season. The last month was it a little bit different because we had 4 home wins now. But I think it was really strange for me because it wasn't only because of the maybe stronger opponents we were facing at the beginning at home. It was more the way the games started. It was very often that we scored very quickly in the away games, and it was nearly every time that the first chance in the home game was a goal we conceded. And then something happens in the team that was about believing in what they're doing. I think in the end it was about putting the red and white shirt on in the dressing room means, we concede the first goal. Yeah. I could feel that I was really asking Rose, maybe we can change the triggers and play at home with the yellow ones. Because it was a disaster, really. And this, to switch this and to turn this around, I think it needed the Watford game, the Watford game at home, I think. This was the crucial thing when we also conceded the first goal. And then finally, it was the first time that we turned the table at home. And I think this game was very important for the players because we had 3 days later, we played against Norwich at home, and you could feel from the beginning completely different behavior. We were suddenly believing in what we were doing, and we know, okay, we can also win games at home. And the mind of a football player and of all the guys who are working on the pitch is a very, very sensible one. And I think you need sometimes these crucial moments to turn the table. And in the beginning of the season, it was really a misery. It was absolutely crazy and not easy to stand. And finally, we didn't do anything different. We worked the same. We watched our players playing on the weekend away. We said, fantastic, now we have done it. you go in the stadium, you think it's a different team. And after the first goal we conceded, everything was gone. And this was really a very, very tough moment for everybody. But we never stopped believing in that we can turn this also in the home games. Why shouldn't it work? We are not superstitious or something too much. I think we are more in the way that we say the more we do, the more we invest, the more we get. But we try to invest also in the home games, but we didn't get anything. And this was really not easy to stand.
Did you notice a difference in yourself, in the teammates or the dressing room before games here, when in that long run when things were tricky here?
No, I don't think it was playing on any of our minds. I think if we want to achieve what we want to achieve, our home form is very important, and we've certainly done that in the last couple of months. Hence why we've climbed the league. But we've also picked up some important away results, which against teams around us at the minute, which I think will become important come the end of the season. But we know what the crowd's like when we're on the front foot, and we want to make them excited. And the way that we play now is to get the fans off their seats with our energy and our work and the passion we have to do those things. So that's up to us to give us that platform in the game. And like the manager said, when we do concede a goal, maybe it does take the sting out of our momentum. But we need to be better, and we certainly have been at getting a good stand in the game and building from that.
There's another raised hand over there, Jonathan.
It's Mike Field here. Over the years, we've had some phenomenal leaders on the pitch. Ralph, in the team that we've got, or the squad that we've got, do you see enough leaders, either in the squad or on the pitch?
I know that this is a topic that is in England. I've also watched all the debates about Premier League, and this is a massive topic. For me, not really. I don't want to have leaders on the pitch that tell and talk. I want to have leaders on the pitch that are running and fighting and winning balls and playing good football. This is for me more important. And I think we have now a very good balance of guys. They are really investing a lot. Here's one sitting that always covers the longest distance in every game. Yes, you. And we also have guys, they fly in every shot to block every shot. It's also important for our game. I think we have the workers, and we have also something of a leader, if you want, that gives a little bit of rhythm in the game. But finally, in our philosophy and in our shape we want to play, it's the most important thing that everybody's moving and everybody's ball-oriented defending and working to the ball. It doesn't work if you speak about that. It works only if you run to the ball. And this is what we do in a moment. And this is more important. And then, if you then give the game a special note like Ingzi does in the moment, then you can say, yes, he leads us in the front because he's the first guy who is defending, because he invests massive against the ball, and then he's the guy who decides the games with unbelievable goals. And this is a leader, if you want, or if you want Prowse in midfield or Peer, or we have enough. We have in the centre back position Jack Stevens suddenly, who is speaking also, but not only speaking, he is sliding, he's pushing out, he's defending on the front foot. Jan Bednarek, everybody, Ryan Bertrand, aesthetic. In the moment, I cannot tell that one player, not Stewie Armstrong, not Nathan Redmond, Longy, everybody has his part to give, and in a moment everybody does what he's told to do, and this is, for me, everybody is a leader in the moment.
How's that role evolved for you? That wonderful second goal against Chelsea, for example, you were right in the middle of it, you were pointing, you were directing, you were sort of orchestrating. Have you grown into that more and more in recent weeks and months?
Yeah, I think that comes with confidence, but especially in that position, that was a position that I grew up playing throughout my childhood here in the academy, at various England levels. So that sort of position where I can try and dictate the play is important, and to play my natural position, I think has definitely helped me a lot. But on the leaders front, you can have a lot of people who you may think are shouters and who demand this and demand that, but we go off each other's body language and our energy, and if you do see Ingzi going to press, then that's my trigger to follow him and not leave him on his own. And he scored a lot of goals through doing that hard side of the game. So there's a lot of leaders within the group, maybe not shown by shouting, but by the actions and the way we play for each other is definitely a leadership role in that.
One more thing I must say to this topic. I always think if you see a team speaking and discussing a lot on the pitch, that is always a signal that they don't know what to have to do. And if you see this, I think we did something wrong in preparing the team for the game, because then they have question tags in their mind, and this is not helpful. If you see a team working in one way, then there are no discussions or don't know what to do. Maybe there's sometimes a moment where you can help him and shout, look behind you, but we know we don't have to look behind us, but because when I go and press, I know that the guys are following. And this is something of an automatism of a behavior. We don't have to speak in that moment. We don't have to look around. We're only going, and then everybody's following. And this is the behavior that means more to me than talking on the pitch.
Is there one more football question before we move on? I'll leave this to Jonathan to decide.
My name is Mark. It's a question for Ralph. Who's your number 2? Who's your assistant manager? Because I have no idea who it is. I don't think anybody here does.
I have a few ones. I have Richard, I have Flem, I have Kelf, Dave, who is very important for the set pieces also, and I have my video analysts and Andrew. So I have a lot of guys. I think Premier League manager is not a one-man show, you know. It's no chance to be successful if you're only working for your own. You need to have guys around you you can trust. They do the work, they give you another opinion, because sometimes you have to find the final right decision, but this final decision is based on a lot of information I get from all the guys around, and this is important that I get them. In the end, it's about me to show the direction, it's about me to make the final decision, but it's helpful if you prepare something for the team, if you make the to-do videos, to have also other opinions. We were, especially in the period where it wasn't very successful, I needed to get opinions from the guys. Maybe they see something I don't see in that moment, and then they help me massively. Yeah? And if you want to compare it to a big buffet where you take the food, yeah, you can take whatever you want, yeah, but you need to take the right things in that moment, and they give me the right things, and then I can decide, okay, I take it or not. Or it's nonsense, or I don't tell them that it's nonsense, but sometimes it is, yeah? And I think, okay, don't take it.
Danny before, and obviously he went off to Bayer, and we'd never see someone actually take over from him, and it looked, no disrespect, sometimes you needed someone to speak to on the sideline, especially when it wasn't going well. I was just wondering if you do have someone like that now.
No, we brought Richard Fordani in because they have the same role, if you want, helping us with preparing the opponent, the videos, and I'm very happy that Richard is here. He helps me massively. He's fantastic, integrated in the group. He's a really fantastic guy, helps me a lot. And so this was, if you want, the sub for Danny, and the group is absolutely going in the right direction, and we have a good balance of what everybody has responsibility for.
We're already nearly halfway through, so let's move on to topic 2, ownership and vision. Martin, Mr. Gow, what are his ambitions for the club? Have they changed at all?
No, I don't think so. We've talked about it a few times. He is here for his own reasons, to develop football in China. It's a huge part of what he's here to do. To cover off the next question, which I'm sure we'll get, the club is self-sustainable. It has been for as long as I have been involved, and before that, I think. There's no money that goes out of the club, but there is no money coming into the club, so we operate with what we have. But his ambitions are the same, for us to be successful. He loves the city. He's been part of the city for quite a long time and wants to do other things in the city, but it doesn't have a huge impact on what we're doing on a daily basis. None of us sit around all day talking about what they're trying to do or not trying to do, but it's a long-term project for him to see the club flourish and to see some business in China grow because of our brand here. But it's no different from last time we spoke about it. I'm happy to answer more detail, but it's no different from what it was, is the answer.
What about financially, Toby? There's a perception that the club doesn't spend money in the transfer market, almost an accusation sometimes. Yeah. Is that a fair...
No, it's not. I mean, there's lots of stats that get published, BBC and other websites. You know, we are net spenders in terms of transfer fees, and when you add on the wages as well. You know, in the last couple of years, we've sold 6 and bought 10, and the net spend on that, and just in transfer fees alone, is, you know, close to 40 million. Then when you build in the wages associated with that as well, that's going to rise up closer to sort of 50 million. So no, we are net spenders, and that's coming from the money that we're generating from our, you know, broadcasting revenues and the profits that we make, you know, commercially. So no, it is an unfair accusation. There's lots of different ways to cut the figures, which is why people can say, yeah, okay, we're not, and people can look at one particular player and say, how have you spent the money on, and where's that money gone? But yeah, we're very comfortable in the knowledge that we do invest in the playing squad very strongly each year.
In this topic, Adam Colmer has a question about Mr. Gow, I believe. Is Adam here? Adam, right at the front.
You've partly answered it. So the question was around, there's been quite a lot of rumours about the last 6 months, him looking at selling the club. Yeah. So the question is, I don't know, I don't think you're going to answer it, but whether he is. Yeah. And if he's not, what are his ambitions for the team? Not the club, but actually the team itself.
Sure. So as far as we know, he has no desire to sell it. I've never seen that in his eyes. He thinks about it as a very long-term project. I think anybody owning a Premier League club now has to try and see it as a very long-term project, because you're not going to make money out of Premier League football unless you hold on to it for a long time. So so the answer to that question is nothing that I've seen would lead me to think that he wants to sell it, but we don't talk about that. And then I think the second part of the question is, you know, what's the ambitions for the team? So he wants the team to win. You know, everybody in this room wants the team to win. It's about the process of how do you get there. He's not in the detail of that process. He's not running a football club. We are running the football club. He wants to see us be successful. And what we've said before is, for us to be successful, unless we have a run like we've just had, and that goes on for another 4 months, the only way to do that is to continue to be in that group, to keep winning, and then we can keep investing in the team and keep looking at whether we can push up the league. But you know, his ambitions are for us to win every game. I know that sounds stupid, but that's what he expects. That's what he wants. But you know, we're not going to do that until we develop further our football operations to be better. But he's not going to, you know, buy Ronaldo and hope that we win the league. That is not going to happen. And I can sit here all day long and tell you that's not going to happen. But he does absolutely no damage to the process of us being successful. We are responsible for what we have to do. He supports that. I talk to him 3 times a week, and we do the best we can. But we're not going to buy ourselves into the top 10. We're going to have to work pretty hard to get there.
I have Matt Carpenter next. Is Matt around?
Thanks, guys. I remember my 3 questions very well. So do you want the one about the walking football, which I thought would be an AOB, because no one would be interested in that but me.
Taking eyes off the ball is what I've got written down here.
Yes, I've been lucky enough, and this isn't aimed at Ralph or James or the you know, you can only work with what you've got, but this is my 3rd or 4th fans forum, and I guess my question was, at the last couple in the Shannon suite, we could have rerun the one from the previous year a little bit. There's been an admittance by senior management that we've taken our eyes off the ball. We won't let that happen again. And then the next year the same was said. And, you know, this year, God bless Ralph, James and the team, they've sorted it out. But obviously it's been a worrying few weeks. So my question very simply is, what is different now?
Sure. Shall I start on that, and then you can do your bit? So I don't have a huge recollection of 2 or 3 years ago, but in the last one we did say that out loud, and I think it's right. I think to recap what we mean by that was, I think this club was incredibly successful, and Prowse was part of that. And my personal view is there was a period there where we probably thought we were a bit further ahead than we were. And there's a lot of criticism we take about, you know, not investing money in players, and actually we have done that, and some of them have not worked out. So, you know, we probably invested in some of the wrong players at the wrong time, in the wrong market, in the wrong way. So you can classify that as taking your eye off the ball. And what we mean by that is we have a plan, and it's reassuring to hear Prowse talk about the identity and the way we are through the academy leading into the first team. I personally feel that got disconnected a bit for about 18 months. So getting our eye back on the ball means that. So that's what Matt Crocker's here to do, to make sure that every decision we make leads to a greater goal. I think we have a manager that believes in that. The conversations we have are about looking to the future. So in every conversation we've had, and they've been pretty regular recently, I've never heard him talk about wanting to do anything to help us now that doesn't help in the future. In fact, we had one in the corridor on the way down here about the January window. We specifically talked about, yeah, but if we do this now, it might help us now, but it'll be a problem in the summer. So it's about making sure that in the future we have our iron ball in the future. Now, does that mean we'll win every game? And I think it's very easy for me in my role or as a fan to think, well, we lost 3 games in a row, so therefore we must have done something wrong. It's not always that way. One of the other questions that somebody emailed me the other day was around, the Premier League's so competitive now, right? So I had a conversation with somebody where when I started in football, there were teams that were really strong and big, and they'd win by doing that, and there were teams that were quick, and there were teams that... Now, every team has all that. So for us to be successful, we have to have tall players and strong players and quick players and hard-working players and committed players and English players and foreign players. We have to have all that to be successful in the Premier League. There really are no bad teams anymore, and we cannot do that in one window. Let's take as reference our friend Jose, who turned up here on a couple of days ago and we beat them. He comes in and says, well, I'm going to make this team win in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks later he realises he's not. It's going to take him 18 months to turn that team around. It's going to take Ralph a while to get us back into where we want to be. We think we're on a good part of that journey, but it is not going to happen in 2 weeks' time. It's not as simple as that. It will take a couple of windows, I think, to get there.
Yeah, I can agree. I think the best example is I know it's not so nice for us. We know the 2 players from us are now playing in Liverpool, or more, I think, 3. But he took, I think, 5.
5 or 6.
Okay, don't speak about this club, okay? No, but I think this is the best example of when you have a philosophy and you stick to the philosophy and you get a chance to get players that are perfect for your philosophy, then this is the result, if you want to make it that simple. It's not easy for us to buy players they really can help us immediately, because 20 million in the moment is nothing in football anymore, and that means you have to sell again a player for 80, then we can buy 4 for 20, but I don't want to sell Ingsy for 80. I want to keep Ingsy here. So that's the reason why we must go a little bit different way. One way is, and Martin just spoke about that, is to develop our academy. It must be in the future that our young teams play the same style we want to play in the first team, because that means if a young player comes to us, we don't have to explain him something. He knows exactly what he has to do without 1 minute losing of telling him or something. That means he's not nervous when he's coming to us to train with us. He's immediately stick to the team, and that gives him more self-confidence, and he can concentrate immediately on his performance. That would help massively. So that must be one plan for the future, that we have again an academy that is something special, and there we can create a few good players maybe for the future. And sure, that's not enough. Buying young, talented players where we can see they are a little bit also influenced from this philosophy we play. I'm not the only manager who likes to press. I'm not the only manager who likes to play on the front foot. There are a few guys, they have this automatically. We must search for these players, and we will do this. And then we get them in, and then it's about us to make them better and better, and let's have a look.
Does anyone else have a question about ownership or vision? Let's head over there, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Hi there, I'm Nick Codge, one of the few fans maybe that Southampton's Twitter account actually follow for some random reason. And I sort of elaborate on what's just been said, but from this I'm pretty much excluding football. Because you can buy bad players, players can have attitudes, you're dealing with human beings, all of that type of stuff. But a brand is about emotion. Football is about emotion. I've been up and down with Southampton, so we all in here, if we've been around for any time, know what that emotion is. It goes up and it goes down. I've lost my love for Southampton Football Club, and that's driven by what used to be the washing machines that we developed with extra air in them. It was the mattresses that travelled with the players to make them just this millimetre different to what other people did. And then we get stupid things like we don't get kit until the season starts. We sign deals with Under Armour who support hunting. There's just, I don't know, there's just these 50 quid for a Tottenham game. I don't know, I've been around this thing since 40 years plus. And I'm just a little bit out of love with it. And it's not driven by the team. I've seen worse teams. I haven't seen worse than the 9-0, but I've seen worse teams. And I love the way the team is playing. I hope Ralph stays for a long time. Prowse, you've run your damn socks off for 4 whole games. So this isn't really a football thing. It's about the feeling of the club. And the danger there is a brand is all about emotion. But you're pretty much out-appling Apple.
I'm not 100% sure there was a question there, but I'll try and answer anyway. But
it's a little bit about and I won't talk about previous people because there were a lot of things. I had a meeting personally with Ralph and spoke about the same thing because I could see this rolling. This place, 120 quid a year.
Okay. All right. So
You've got a premium product,
yeah.
but that's it.
Let's answer the question. First of all, thank God I don't think you have fallen out of love with the club because you know more about it than I do. So you clearly love it. You know that Prowse's run his socks off for 4 games, so you probably saw all those for us as well. So you haven't fallen out of love with it, and it's our job to try and bring you back. Now, you know, we have a business to run, we have a club to run, we do the best we can. I think the best I can refer you to is when we're struggling down the bottom of the league, it is really tricky to get all those things right. I don't know the ins and outs of how much we charged at Spurs and stuff. Toby, I'm sure, can answer that question. But, you know, all I can say is what I said last time is I've not met anybody in this club who doesn't love it, who doesn't work hard. The individuals we have in at the moment have worked harder than any I've ever seen. So we have to do better. But if you're falling out of love with it, then try and put those things out of your mind and come and enjoy the football and do the best you can. But good.
And the football will always help.
Yeah.
But my point is, how does kit for the supporters arrive 3 weeks into a season?
Yeah, but again, that's a good one. So let me answer that, and then Toby can get into the finances.
I mean, that's an example. And it's
No, but it's a good example to reference. It turned up 3 weeks late because some printer made a mistake. So there's nobody in the club kind of going, oh, I tell you what, we're going to piss off the fans by doing the kit late. Those things happen, and we can't do anything about it. But it's annoying for everybody. But I don't think it should ruin your enjoyment of the club. But I don't know if you want to ask some questions about finances. No.
It's just, please get back to those details. Re-engage with support.
So let me just pick up on a couple of those points. So those details still happen. They may be not publicised around washing machines or mattresses, but the whole team that supports Ralph, you know, there are a huge number of people there doing exactly that, looking for those little 1%. Yes, we maybe don't come out and tell the fans every single one of those, but yeah, if that's what people want to hear, and yeah, absolutely we can do that. I think coming back to the kit, and Martin's already addressed it. We were as frustrated as anybody that happened because, of course, who does that hit the most? Us as a club. You know, our retail sales this year have been decimated because of that. So we did not sit there and say, why don't we launch our shirts? You know, first day of the season, 3 weeks into the season. Absolutely terrible for us from a brand perspective and commercially. But as it happens with every organisation, every business, things happen that are outside of your control. We did everything we absolutely could to get those shirts there. I completely understand the frustration, and we talked about that at the fan forum in the summer when the shirts hadn't even been, weren't even out by that point. So yeah, look, in hindsight, whether it's shirts or how we publicise things, we can always look back and say we'd have done things differently, and absolutely we would have used a different printer for the shirts had we had the opportunity again. But we have to take this on the chin and say sorry to people and move on and look to the future.
Don't lose the feeling specifically in the shirt. It's pure.
No, I understand, and I understand that's an example of other things. But whether it's Under Armour or whether it's, we can always look back and say, okay, would we have made that decision knowing what we know now? maybe we would, maybe we wouldn't, but we can only react to the information as it comes out, the same as anybody else, same as any other organisation. And I think, we recognise we're in the public eye. For an organisation of our size, it's quite unusual the amount of interest that we get. So we understand that everything that we do is going to be scrutinised. So we make sure that when we make a decision, we understand why we're doing it, and we can talk about why we're doing it. But we just, Martin and I, and I'm sure the other guys, we hold our hands up. We don't get 100% of things right, and we never make a decision on the basis that, we know we're going to get this wrong, but let's just do it anyway. We take it with the best faith, and we go, hold our hands up. We get some things wrong, and we understand that can annoy fans, and that's definitely not our intention.
And I think I'll answer one last thing, and then we'll move on. But we're also a club that's trying to recapture its identity, right? So let's look at the positives, which is there's many teams in the Premier League that lose a few games and fire the manager and waste millions of pounds of your money and bring somebody else in. And then I think Watford have done it twice. But what you don't see here behind the scenes is we had a bad time, and the people to my left worked twice as hard. And Ralph worked another 6 hours on top of the 14 he works to try and fix the club. And we're trying to do the best we can behind the scenes, but you don't see it. But we are trying to rebuild an identity where we work hard and we stick with the right people and we don't waste money, and that's the best we can do at the moment.
But I'm absolutely with the guy, and it's strange that it's so much similar. You spoke about the details, and it is exactly what it's about. Caring about the details, it's the same in our game. When we care about the details, that makes a difference. And we should do it every day, and we will, and that's what I can guarantee you. As long as I'm sitting here, I'm caring about every detail in my team and also about every detail in the club, and that's
very good.
Having moved into the off-pitch performance, let's talk to Gordon Sparks now, if Gordon is here. Gordon, you've got a ticketing question, I believe.
Yeah, my name's actually Jordan, but thanks for trying.
Details. Another detail gone.
Let me out another Jordan who put this list of questions together. Yeah. Not a single one of these has been right yet.
It was basically about buying a season ticket and then listening to the radio and hearing the club flogging tickets at a reduced rate, and it totally and utterly infuriating me at the fact my season ticket has been devalued to such a degree. And, for me, as a young person, I don't earn bad money, but it's a big old investment, a season ticket, and I just feel it grinds, to be honest, big time. Don't mind them giving away tickets to, the local estates and the people that can't afford it. I don't mind that at all. Got to get people involved. But when you're flogging them to students that don't even live around here, don't care about the club, whatnot, just makes one wonder why the hell I bother, personally.
Toby,
okay, happy to take that one on. It's a difficult balance for us to get, because exactly what you're saying there, as a season ticket holder, that infuriates you when we sell tickets cheaply, in the same way that the gentleman to your right has just said, I'm really infuriated when it's £50 for Spurs. So we've got to try and get the balance right, because season ticket holders are vocal when the prices are lower, and match-by-match ticket buyers are very vocal when the prices are higher. So we've got to try and please everybody, and it's very difficult to do. I think we're really open and transparent that we categorise our tickets. So New Year's Day is always going to be a Category A game. Let's be honest. Great atmosphere. No matter who we play, it's going to be Category A. And when you factor in Spurs as well, that's just going to reinforce that. So the pricing reflects that. As other sports organisations, other businesses, we react to the demand. When we have games, let's take Norwich as an example, midweek in December, probably not the most attractive club for fans to come and want to see, despite the fact it's a really winnable game for us. And then you factor in it's on Amazon as well. That's a hard sell for us. And what our ultimate goal is, and I think all fans and the players and the coaching staff would want, is to get the stadium full, to get the atmosphere as good as possible. And if that means then that the prices are cheaper in that regard, then that's a decision we have to make. Now, understand that for a season ticket holder, that looks like it's devaluing that purchase that you've made, but it's a difficult one, a difficult balance for us to have. We also have scenarios where clubs return their tickets. So they take an allocation, and then with a week or 2 weeks to go, they say, actually, we've asked for 2,000, we're only going to bring 1,000. And therefore, we make the decision, do we want to have an empty block between, in the northern, between the home and away, and say, well, actually, No, because it doesn't look great, particularly if it's on TV, and it's not good for the players to see that. So we will then go out and say, look, okay, we've got some tickets that have come on, we're going to put on sale late, and therefore they're going to be at an offer price, because we would rather have a full stadium and noisy getting behind the team than having a big empty block. So again, I know that would maybe be infuriating from your perspective, from a season ticket holder. We're definitely not trying to do anything to devalue that, and I can give you stats that say, on average, our season ticket holders save over £200 compared to a match-by-match ticket buyer. So there is definitely huge savings. We try not to do those offers, but we would rather have, as I say, a full stadium. And Huddersfield is a good example. We thought that we'd maybe get 15,000, 16,000 people. We did a really good ticket offer, average price around about £12. Gives an opportunity as well for us to get people in the stadium who maybe don't ordinarily come, cheap for kids as well. Yeah, and that fills the stadium, and maybe, yeah. But so we try, yeah. So look, the fact is we know that whatever we do, there's going to be one group of fans who don't like it. So we're trying to find something that really pleases everybody, and it's difficult. What I would say is, any feedback on ticketing, obviously these forums work, but use Saint's Voice to feed that back, because we meet with them 3 or 4 times a year. I know some of them are in the audience tonight. And give that feedback, and they helped us with our pricing strategy for this year, and we want to do that again for next season as well. So any feedback is really, really welcome.
Okay. I've got another ticketing question, if I can trust this list, from Marlon Ailing Allen. Aha. Come on, Jonathan, quicker.
Oh yeah, it's sort of the opposite side of that. I mean, I'm not a season ticket holder, but sometimes the tickets might be too high in price. I wondered if that was to sort of deter fans from the bigger clubs from coming into the stadium, sitting in the home end. I'm wondering what the sort of ticketing strategy is. I know you sort of covered it.
I mean, I guess it really is done by category of game, the timing. So one of the things we've done over the last couple of seasons is, rather than announcing the price for all the games right at the beginning of the season, we know that the schedule changes. So let's say Watford goes on TV, we know that's going to have an impact on the attendance, and therefore we will react to that a month or 2 months out and adopt a pricing strategy around that. It's definitely, the pricing is not there to deter away fans sitting in home areas. We've got a really strict policy on that, which is, if they're identified, they're going to get ejected from the stadium. Unless it's a family and we can put them in the away end in their space, that's generally our policy. So there's no strategy around that. We know that away fans can pretty much always find a way somehow, which is frustrating, because that's not what we want. But no, that, I guess it's covered by what we've said. It's really reacting to the time, the opposition, how we're doing as a club as well. Let's take that into account. If we're not having such a great run and we want to get more people in, then our pricing will react to that. Similarly, going forward, we'll have the opposite. So it's like any other business, that supply and demand will dictate what we charge.
Just before we go on to our final any other business section, a question I should have asked you, Toby, in the first section, really. Women and girls football, is there any chance of seeing some of the bigger matches played here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the women's and girls team, for those that follow, are doing really well. Top of the league, 4th round of the FA Cup. We're getting growing number of fans there. I think at the moment, certainly for this season, whilst there may be 1 or 2 opportunities to bring them here, and we're looking into that, it's probably longer term. So, record crowd there is over 800 at AFC Totton. Really good atmosphere. If you put 800 people in the stadium, it's going to get lost, and actually probably, I wouldn't say demotivating, but it's not going to inspire the team to do their performance. So, even if we got 1,000, 1,500, Totton is the perfect place for that. Really good atmosphere. If the numbers start going up and we see demand for more and more tickets, then yeah, absolutely, we'll be looking to bring the team here on a more regular basis. But I think for now, talking with Marianne, she absolutely feels that growing Totton as that home base, really building up the crowd there, getting a great atmosphere to get behind the team is probably, this season and maybe next is probably where we're going to be on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you. Kerry O'Sullivan. Kerry, I think you've got a question for the manager, if you are here. If not, I can ask it. Ralph?
If it's a good one.
I'm a primary school teacher, aspiring to be a head teacher one day. What's the biggest leadership quality that she should portray?
She?
Kerry.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a primary school teacher.
I think we have to have a lot of qualities if you want to lead a Premier League team. But I think the most important thing is that you have the identity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be yourself. I think you cannot be an actor for 365 days a year. It's not possible. You have to have the identity, and you have to have the social intelligence to work with humans. And I think any of my player is an individual, and every player needs a different language you speak with him. That means not English or German. That means he must know. The one needs to have a hard shoulder, the other one needs to have a knuddle, and this is what it's about. You can speak about tactic, about in possession, against the ball, everything. But in the end, it's a human, and you want to develop this guy, and that's the reason you find. The only way to do it is to find the way to him here in his heart. And if you find this way, and he can be the oldest professional, 35 years, and the end of his career, you also have to find a way to get in touch with him, because otherwise you cannot motivate him, otherwise you cannot develop him, otherwise you have no chance to find to him. And I think when you don't have this quality as a manager, you are maybe a tactical genius, but you never can be a leader of a Premier League team, or if you want, of a school class.
Yeah. Anyone got any questions on any topic? Over there, Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Tom. I was just wondering what the chances of having a safe standing section in the stadium is, because I think it would be pretty cool if the whole northern stand was safe standing, a bit like Borussia Dortmund's yellow wall in Germany, something like that.
Yeah. We're watching very closely what the government does in terms of actually changing the law to allow that. So as and when that happens, I know there's a groundswell of opinion, and the government seem to be softening in their stance. We'll certainly consider it. What's interesting at the moment, Wolves have put a section in. That was in a section that was empty, so they had an empty corner, and they built a temporary stand and put that railing in. And obviously Spurs have got it in their new stadium. It'll be interesting to see whether other clubs actually remove seating and put in rail seating when the legislation changes. But we're really open to doing it. As ever, we've got to look at the cost of doing it and the demand, because for every fan that says we'd really like to have it there, you have people that sit in the northern that would maybe say, actually, I'm quite like to sit down. So we've got to make sure that we don't, again, as ever, upset one set of fans because of what someone else wants. But yeah, it's definitely on the agenda, and we're watching it closely.
Got time for a couple more, if anyone else. What about this gentleman here?
My name's Chris, and I've got a question for Ralph. Say, with a bit of hindsight, we get in the top 10, and a more higher profile club came in for you and said they wanted you as their manager, would you say no? Because I just feel like when we've had Pochettino and Koeman, we've been on the verge of something good, and then we've had to restart again, and I just feel that the club's ambition to get into Europe, every time we're on the verge of ever doing that, we just go back to square one again. So, will you please stay?
I think if you asked this question 2 months ago or 3 months ago, the answer would be a different one. I would be glad to stay here. No, it's not. The answer would not be a different one 3 months ago to now. I would answer you the same, because not only because of that I've seen now how much the club and the board is believing in what I'm doing here. I could feel in this very difficult moment for me, the first time in my entire managing career, that I had a period where I lost 4 games in a row, for example. But maybe it needed this moment for me to be clear that who is behind me and how much they trust in me and how much they are supporting me. And this was a massive signal for me, I can tell you. But it wouldn't have need this signal that I know that what I have with this club, and that I, from the first moment I was coming here, felt really very, very good in this club. And it's for me in the moment the best job I can imagine, and I want to go with this club for a long time, hopefully a successful way, and I don't think about anything else in the moment. I was just, before this club I played in the Champions League and everything. For me, Southampton is, especially because we are part of the biggest, best league in the world, for me is it more challenging than to work with the Champions League club in the moment, because to be successful with this club in one of the best leagues, or in the best league in the world, is such a big challenge for a manager. And that forces so much from you, demands so much work and passion. This is exactly what I want to do. And this is the reason why I was coming here. I knew what I have to expect. I knew that it wouldn't be easy to be competitive with our chances we have. But this is exactly what I was searching for. And that is the reason why I never thought that I'm not right here or looking for something maybe bigger or I don't know what. For me, it's the moment the biggest job I can have, and that's the reason why I feel so good when I walk to Matchwood every day and drive there and go there and meet all my staff and my players, and cannot imagine something better.
Anyone else got a question? Maybe one for James? He hasn't spoken for a long time. Well, you know.
This one's actually for Martin and probably Toby possibly. Kind of relates to helping Ralph out. Obviously, a lot of fans were a little bit concerned, a little bit confused that the club made it very clear after Les departing that they were looking at bringing in a recruitment specialist. Now, obviously, the current window being open, it doesn't appear as though that's actually happened and that anyone's been appointed in that role. Is there a specific reason that hasn't happened yet? Has there been a change in philosophy on that front, or is it just the fact that the club haven't found a suitable candidate yet?
Sure. So the same as when you try and buy the best player in the world in the middle of a season, it's kind of difficult. So our view on it is, in player recruitment, we are only going to bring in someone that we think will change the game, take us back to where we need to be. We have Martin Glover, who came in to run our recruitment department. He's a fantastic guy, really experienced. Ralph and I are working with him every day at the moment. We have no issue with that in the January market. Actually, I think we've dealt with it pretty well. In the future, will we go somewhere bigger, something that we think will take us to the next level? Yeah, we probably will. But it won't happen during this season because the individual or individuals that we might be after are with other clubs. So yes, in the future. The short answer is in the January window, it's not that big a deal in reality. Once we get to the summer, yes, something else will be in place, I think.
One more? Go on then. Jonathan can upset people by choosing the last question.
Callum, basically, obviously, in the fullback department, said about getting back up for Cedric and Ryan. Is that a case for getting two players in, a left back and a right back, or kind of an all-round player that can fluctuate between both positions?
At first, we know that on the left side we have definitely only one with Ryan. So this is the more important position. We must do something. And on the right side, it depends how long Jan Valery is still not available. We have him as a backup, if you want, in moment for Cedric. But if there is a right baggage that really helps us, why not? I think we have a lot of games, hopefully in the FA Cup a few more, in the league a few more games, so it's still busy, it's still a busy period for us, and you never know what happens, and so I would be happier maybe to get also a right fullback in.
Replacement for your media manager as well, given the list of questions he got completely wrong?
We speak about later.
Okay. Whoever, big round of applause, please, for these four cracking gentlemen who hopefully answered all your questions. Thank you very much. That's all done. So yeah, enjoy the second half of the season.